I do know I've seen a couple of people in the media, including President Trump, who has brought up sort of that message and sort of that not talking, like at that point in terms of what's going on right now and why we've seen the shift in violence within the states, and then it goes beyond the firearm and it's a much broader issue. So I think that there are people looking to have those conversations about those things.
And finally, I didn't see a Jane Fonda patch on your jacket. Did you hear about that?
No.
No? I think 2 years ago, the Legion Riders and the Rusty Nuts Park Club gathered to go to the veterans focus up there. And your mom was going to ride on the back of the Legion Riders director's trike, but she didn't have a vest. So one of the guys gave her a vest, and there was this very bold patch stating some really close to terms about Jane Fonda. Your mom didn't see that, and so pointed out, and she goes, "Oh, okay, I'll keep it on." She wore that the whole day.
Oh yeah.
So you'll have to get one.
She's a ticket.
Any other questions about legislation, Francis?
Do we have anybody in the, getting ready to run or anything that's definitely a gun rights person for governor?
I think he's made it pretty clear that it's still front of mind. I think my mom got so sick of him being at home in retirement that she finally gave him a
Tell him he can come see us again. He's a bartending job.
He'll be back quite often over the winter, so hopefully he can get to a meeting and see some folks.
I was at the Freiburg Fair and I bought my page 2020.
Oh, it's so
green grade again.
Yeah.
I haven't recovered yet, still struggling yet.
You can at least give him spoons and he can keep stirring pot.
Oh my God.
But there is a lot of activity in the elections, to just Francis's point. And Maine is going to be a highly contested, big money that's going to get thrown in the state in the next 12 months. 12 to 14, 12 to 13, yeah, 13 months. There's, of course, a second congressional district seat that's going to be contested from pro-gun folks, I'm sure. And we'll hear a lot more about that, but expect Senator Collins' seat to be at, I don't know how much of a risk it is, but she did kind of make some people mad on both sides over the last 6 years. So we'll see how that one goes, but it's gonna heat up here in Maine. It's gonna be very rough. Any other questions? State legislation, bills coming up, laws? All right.
So just to start with introductions, I'll start and then we'll go with Austin and work our way down and yeah, okay, ish, ish, yeah.
Okay, it's less than 3 minutes.
Whatever you would like. Whatever throws you. No. Oh, if you. Oh, absolutely. Please. No, absolutely. Go ahead, Austin. No.
Okay. I'm making a stand because I'm supposedly soft-spoken. My name is Austin Stevens, and I am from Falmouth in southern Maine, and I'm not rich and snobby. I am a licensed massage therapist. I am also a cashier at Cabela's. I do both part-time. I've been active in Gun Owners of Maine since 2017, and I've been a paying member for almost a year. I grew up shooting long guns at my family camp once a year. I never shot a handgun until 3 years ago. I did not grow up with handguns because they're not allowed in my parents' house. For my mom, she compromised with them on the long guns, but the reason why I don't have my shield out displaying is because I never get to carry it, so I'm like, oh, please stay with me. And so I've taken a bunch of classes. Because I didn't grow up with handguns, I took a ton of classes. I've taken classes with Andy Reardon and Tatiana Whitlock and Tatiana actually gave me a holster for free, which was really nice. So if you potentially want to get a free holster from her, buy a really crappy alien gear holster and try to shoot with it. And she will get so frustrated, she will just go, take this, and flamethrow that. She said, torch that with a flamethrower. And I was like, I'll just return it, get my money back, but thanks. And let's see, I got my concealed carry permit after waiting for 4 months. That was fun. Never get your concealed carry in Falmouth. They take forever. And this shield is my only handgun. And I'm one of those really cheesy people who names my guns. So this is Miss Vito, as in my cousin Vinny Miss Vito.
Nice.
Because if this firearm was a person, it would be Miss Vito. Let's see. So I do my best to get up to the Capitol for the legislative stuff. I give full credit to Teen Pact Leadership Schools for teaching me the importance of civil engagement, and I did their class for 4 years, and we went up to the State House for a week. We had to write our own bills. We had to write our senators and representatives. We had to listen to the State address. We had to do a ton of stuff, and so I give Teen Pact full credit for why I go to the State House outside of gun owners. I mean, I go up there for other stuff too, but every time I see any legislator, I don't care who they are or if I hate their guts, I say, thank you for doing this, because it's a pretty sucky job if you think about it, and it's so difficult. I've thought about running, and every time I seriously consider it, I'm like, oh, the crap. Oh, the crap. So, I'm avid about gun owners of Maine and our First and Second Amendment rights. I am an avid Christian, and so I incorporate the First and Second very closely. And I'm still learning. I'm learning more every day. And that's pretty much who I am. I am 22. I say that because I look like I'm 17.
Thank you.
All right, well, I'm
If she's
Denise
at the State
Murchison.
House, if she's at the State House, she usually has her laptop with her, so if you need some facts, she can look them up for you real quick.
My laptop is camouflaged. It'll be easy to find me unless you can't see me.
Unless you don't want to be found, right? All right, I'm Denise Murchison. I own Silverton Sporting Ranch in Canaan, Maine, and Silverton Foods. I'm a registered Maine guide, and I do a lot of shotgun instruction there, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and how that relates to women. And some of you guys are going to find that maybe the way you've tried to get your women into shooting is been the wrong way. So I've also trained hunting dogs for a very long time, bred labs. I have the commercial shooting area license from the state. I release pheasants. I do a whole lot of things. I'm originally from Presque Isle and lived out of state for several years after college, and came back and bought property in Canaan and said, this is what I want to do. And even though probably 98% of my customers are men, I am seeing a lot more women involved in the outdoors. I belong to another group. It's a Facebook group. It's Maine Women Hunters, and I've been amazed at how many women on there. For like yesterday, for the youth deer hunt, how many women took their kids hunting? And it wasn't, oh, my son went with grandpa or dad or whatever. It's like, I went out with my son, I went out with my daughter, and it's just amazing how many women on there are in families where the men don't hunt or the men don't own guns. This is a trend that I think part of what we're doing here today is excuse me, helping everyone understand that this is an important demographic for us to really continue to reach out to and embrace and encourage. I think as gun owners, we all have our own stories of going into a gun shop to buy a firearm and being treated like the little misses and shown something pink and, you know, and being like, you know, someone saying, well, are you lost or are you looking for the restroom or what, you know, and those are situations that need to change. And there are certain places that I would never go to again to try to buy a firearm and, just because of that kind of treatment. So we've got a long ways to go, but I think we're really, really headed in the right direction.
Hi, I'm Sheree. I've only lived in Maine for just over a year, but I started following gun owners in Maine before I moved here. Gun rights have been extremely important to me for almost 20 years. I was a victim of gun violence, and after that I was terrified of guns, absolutely terrified. But luckily I met some people that showed me that guns are not scary if you're on the right end of it. So that began my interest in protecting my gun rights, because for women especially, I think most women have been through things where they really wish that, you know, they would have had some force protection to help them out. We're at a disadvantage with size, we're at a disadvantage with fighting skills, physical power. So guns are an equalizer that I utilize, and I'm very proud, very, very proud to be a gun owner. I don't hunt, I'd like to learn more about it. I'd love to take a class with Denise sometimes. I've been to Augusta, I've been to testify, I've helped organize a anti-NDA kind of response to them going to Portland and then being in Brunswick and crying about, you know, we shouldn't have guns, we shouldn't have guns. Well, they don't speak for me, they don't speak for my friends. So I've helped organize going down there a couple times. We've had some really great photo shoots down there with the MDA women. And that's what, and then also for a short time I helped coordinate with the Mid-Coast chapter that has their meetings in Wiscasset, and that is a really, really great group. If you guys are ever able to be in the Wiscasset area for their meetings, that is a fun group to be with. They're all super, super active in going to Augusta, showing up for all the extra things. They're all really good with emails and testimonies, and so the Wiscasset group at the Mid-Coast in Wiscasset's a really, really fun group to hang out with. So I hope I see some of you guys there in the future. And that's it. Donna?
My name is Donna Stevens. I used to be vehemently against guns. I didn't really, was ambivalent of whether anybody else had them, but I didn't want anything to do with them because I was a victim of domestic violence at the time and was terrified that if my significant other got a hold of a gun that he would kill me. I knew that for a fact. And so his boss, his manager, secretly came to me and let me know that he had been shooting and learning to use one even though he didn't have one. And so he secretly started teaching, because he knew what was going on. And so he started teaching